Hey everybody, there's two things that I wanted to get across today. The first thing is I wanted to get across is shooting raw, ProRes raw with the Sony Fx30 versus not shooting raw. Okay, shooting raw internally in the Sony Fx30 will give you 16-bit colors. That's fantastic, that's really nice, and I'm sure it comes in handy in certain situations, yes. Okay, if you're shooting externally to the Ninja like I do, then you're only going to get 12 versus 10 shooting ProRes RAW. And not shooting ProRes RAW is not the end of the world. You're not going to see too much of a difference, especially if you're doing something like YouTube or something like that. You're not going to notice that much of a difference. And I do not really shoot ProRes RAW unless there's something specifically important that I want to shoot. So maybe if I'm shooting a wedding or something like that, I might do it in ProRes RAW, maybe. Because like I said, the visual difference is not really all that much, and it is larger files when you're recording in ProRes RAW, and it needs more muscle. You need more computer muscle when you're doing your post-production. So you need really fast computer to adequately edit ProRes RAW unless you're using proxies. And I don't like to use proxies. I like to go straight from my video files right into my Premiere Pro editor and start editing. I'm using a really fast computer with a good graphics card, so there's no problem with that, and I can record ProRes RAW and edit it, no problem. But like I said, it adds up in storage drive if you're going to keep the masters and all that stuff. So basically what I do is I just shoot Cine EI, Slog 3, and I'm good to go, 422. And, whether it's 4K 60 or whatever it is, I do shoot all intra. And so shooting all intra, that makes it a little bit easier on your computer as well versus shooting long GOP. But anyway, yeah, so my advice on shooting ProRes RAW, only if it's something that's really important, but I wouldn't go overboard and use ProRes RAW all the time. You're not going to see that much of a difference, and it is, more taxing on your computer during editing, and also more taxing on your media space. If you're shooting on your SSD drive, shooting externally, or if you're shooting internally, then your SD cards are going to fill up pretty quick. So I would say don't shoot ProRes RAW unless you really need to. Okay, for the next thing, there's a lot of controversy about this one. A lot of people will say, well, if you're shooting in S-Log, you shouldn't go below the base ISO. With the Sony Fx30, that's 800 and 2500. Those two ISOs are supposed to give you the cleanest possible video. However, you can go below that. You can go in flexible ISO and you can shoot it like 400 or 200, and you're going to get a clean image for sure. I've tested this. Gerald Undone has tested this with the Xylist, and he's got some really technical data showing this. Now, people say, well, you're going to lose dynamic range. Yes, but not a lot. Okay, so if you're shooting with the Sony Fx30, base ISO 800, then you're going to get 14 stops. Okay, the clean stops are only going to be 12, no matter what, but you get 14 stops. So let's say you bring your ISO down to 400, then you're going to get only 13 stops because you only lose a stop. Then if you go to 200, you lose another stop, and then that brings you to 12 stops. Pretty much that's all you're going to get is 12 stops anyway, regardless if you're shooting on your base ISO or you're not. So there's really no reason to shoot at those base ISOs unless you need to, really, If you're shooting in a controlled environment in the studio, definitely I would just shoot down, bring your ISO down to 200. It's a lot cleaner. I've tested this. It's awesome. It looks really nice. And yeah, it doesn't hurt the video at all. It looks great. There's no banding or anything like that. People, over exaggerate and think that, oh, you shouldn't do that, and that's not true. Sony Fx3 shooting S-Log 3 you can go down to 200 very easily and have a really, really nice clean image. And if you don't believe me, you can go down description below and you can look at the video that Gerald Undone has showed. He proves this with really good technical data, and yeah. So anyway, if you like this video, you can click on like, and if you want to be alerted to more videos when I put them out, you click on subscribe. And I hope this was helpful to you, and thank you for watching.